Today is Friday the 21st of April and this is from the South. Following violent opposition protests, many stores and shops in Caracas, Venezuela were looted and vandalized. The damages are expected to be in the millions. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro renewed calls to opposition leaders for dialogue amid the escalating violence stemming from opposition-led protests. However, some right-wing leaders have continued to call supporters to the streets to demand Maduro's ouster. The head of the United Nations peacekeeping mission to Haiti said on Thursday that the essential basis had been established in order to reinforce local state institutions. These so-called Blue Helmets are preparing to pull out of the Caribbean country, ending a 13-year-long mission. The 15-member Security Council voted unanimously 1 week ago to end the peacekeeping mission in Haiti, which is one of the longest running in the world. Marijuana smokers gathered in downtown Mexico City and Santiago on Thursday to mark 420, an international day which calls for the legislation and safe use of the drug over the world. Mexicans gathered in a public space near the country's Senate building for their smoke-out protest. A similar protest took place in Chile, where the demonstrators gathered outside Santiago's Moneda Palace. Across the region, attitudes towards marijuana are changing. In 2013, Uruguay became the first Latin American country to legalize the drug. Other nations, such as Colombia and Argentina, have also taken steps forward towards limited legalization. U.S. President Donald Trump signed executive orders earlier this Friday aimed at reviewing American financial laws and laying the groundwork for what he called a great economic revival. Trump has pledged to return the United States to annual growth rates of 3% or higher, a feat many economics say is unrealistic without productivity gains and increases in the size of the labor force. Mosul residents fled from the ongoing fighting between Islamic State militants and Iraqi armed forces there. The battle for the city has entered its 7th month. Iraqi forces control southern neighborhoods and are slowly surrounding the old city, whose narrow streets are expected to make federal operations very difficult. The evacuations of Syrian civilians and fighters from government and rebel-besieged towns have been completed following a 48-hour halt. Evacuees from the two rebel-besieged towns had been stuck at a staging area outside the city, where a bomb attack on an evacuation convoy killed scores of people last week. People paid their tributes to the police officer killed in Paris just 3 days before the first round of voting in the French elections. 2 other officers were also left seriously injured after a gunman opened fire on the Champs-Élysées. The attacker was then shot by police. A driver and at least 19 school children were killed in South Africa when the minibus they were traveling in collided with a truck and exploded in a ball of fire. According to police, it was not clear what caused the collision. Many children were trapped inside the bus, and most of the fatalities were declared at the site of the accident. Several other children were injured, with reports that some of them were dragged from the wreckage by people at the scene. Israeli security forces cracked down on Palestinian protesters who were demonstrating in support of the hunger strike being undertaken by 1,500 prisoners. Police officers fired stun grenades at the demonstrators, who responded to the shots by throwing rocks with slingshots. At least one protester was detained at the demonstration. Finely painted black and white portraits of pensive children started appearing on walls around a suburban neighborhood of Havana, Cuba 2 years ago. The murals are painted by 31-year-old artist Mizel Lopez, who says he is only just getting started on his Colossi series. Lopez said his work is inspired by Cuban independence hero Jose Marti, who said that children are the hope of the world. More on these and other stories on our website, telesurtv.net/news.